Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the fantasy hockey podcast that shares in the fans' frustration over the 3-game suspension of Tyler Myers. We're your hosts tonight, Jay and Alan. Jay, dude, I just looked at the temperature this morning by me. It was -5 Fahrenheit, which is like -20 Celsius. Like, is that just a typical Wednesday for you up in Yellowknife?
The wildest part is I think it was -15 today. So I don't know what is going with
Oh
this
my God.
Freaky Friday? Freaky
Polar
Wednesday?
vortex.
Polar
Woo!
vortex indeed. My goodness, yeah. Tyler Myers, Alan. How could he get that 3-game
I know that angel. The NHL's got to protect their stars. But anyway, yeah, we're here with the weekend preview and your fantasy hockey mailbag. As always, if you like what you see, make sure to like and subscribe. If you like what you hear, like and subscribe wherever you get your fine podcast, true crime podcasts from. And make sure to join us on our Discord. We have over 2,700 fantasy hockey aficionados there talking anything, whatever strikes their fancy on a Wednesday. You can follow us on Twitter, DM us on Twitter. And then, of course, tools on the website TJ's working on, FHFhockey.com. So let's get into news around the league. Interesting tidbit I saw on Reddit yesterday. I just somewhat fantasy relevant, may have some impact on fantasy. Last season, the Capitals made the playoffs with a -37 goal differential. Right now, as of it was yesterday, the post was made. They lead the league with a +50, which is insane. Like that is. I mean, we know they made they shook up a lot of things in the offseason, but I don't know, man. Forget Nashville. I really think the Capitals are the true offseason champs. I don't know, Jay. I remember last season, like it was like Ovi, you only held him. John Carlson was a dumpster fire. I think Dylan Strome was like the team leader on points with like 61. Like, good God, like have you noticed yourself gravitating toward more Capitals this season?
Oh man, some of the comments just kill me, Alan. My goodness. But I'm working on Mojo over there, guys. It's Han Solo. He's taking some time to dust it off. But yeah, I looked at my lineup and I was like, how the hell is Pierre-Luc Dubois still there? Like
Yeah.
all the jokes we make on the pod about PLD and all that finangles. And I'm like, there he is hanging out. Who was the other guy? Like Protus? Like he was
Yeah.
there for a good number of weeks.
The surge of the true Connor McMichael.
For sure. Rasmus Sandin too
Yeah.
at certain like junctions. Just random shenanigans, random names that just you kind of like blink twice and you're like, how is this guy still here now?
And Chychrun, I mean, there's top. I mean, he's on that top power play kind of right now. I know there's some speculation in some places where he could take that power play from John Carlson at some point.
And the thing is too, right? Like both power play 1 and 2 get OV access. So that's not,
Right.
like a either or type of deal. The thing with Carlson is like, does anyone else get the double shifting? Because I know Carlson for a while did. They ran him into the ground too.
That's a good segue to the next topic I have here. I'm going to be a little homer for a second. Tampa is doing something with their power play units. Now, they've been double shifting Kucherov on both units for a while, but now they got something funky going on. And I don't know. I think it's made one player particularly a little bit fantasy relevant, especially this week since Tampa has 4 games. So Tampa's 2 units right now are Hedman, Kucherov, Cirelli, Paul Hagel, and then Radish, Point, Kucherov, Chafee, and Gensel. So I think Darren Radish, he has 6 points in his last 5, but if you take away that Montreal game, it's like 6 and 4. I don't know. I personally picked up Darren Radish in a spot to try to ride some of that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this sticks rest of season.
I'm also thinking, like, is this power play 1 and 2 like based on whom? Like based on the power play quarterback? Because the idea that Jay Gensel is on a power play 2 is really
right.
Really
Point
bizarre.
and Gensel.
Right. So is this one of those like reverse like Freaky Friday situations where like the power play 2 is just like getting, I don't know, like less minutes and reps on the day? You know what I mean? Like Are we sure power play 1 is the one listed above? There's definitely seemingly more power play, I guess, like, I don't know, explosiveness.
He had would indicate power play 1, but I mean, Sorelli and Paul aren't necessarily known as being like snipers or talent guys. They're like grindy shutdown guys. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how that pans out. Like I thought I was seeing weird stuff. Like I'm like, is Hedman hurt again? Like, are they giving Radish time? Kind of like how they gave Sergachev run on power play 1 for most of the season, like a year or 2 ago.
But could that be Radish right now? Maybe he's a turnip turning true. No,
maybe, because I mean, really, if you look at it, Point Kucherov Gensel, yeah, that's I feel like a better core than like just Hedman Kucherov. Now Hagel is one of the hottest guys in the league right now. But yeah, again, Paul Sorelli, I don't know.
And is Chaffee the guy to Chaffee? Like, is he the guy? Like, look at the guys that are.
He's not a guy, or he's a guy, but he's not the guy.
But he's playing with some premier talent, honestly.
Yeah,
like in terms of the Bolts. My goodness.
Yeah, moving on to injuries. Valery Nichushkin suffered a setback and has been downgraded to not close, which kind of sucks. Like I feel like they're in a little bit of a scoring slump right now. Could really use him. Josh Norris out at least through the weekend, and Jake Sanderson also missed practice today as a precautionary measure. Man, those are. I mean, if Sanderson loses a significant amount of time, that sucks. I mean, I feel like that's Chabot stonks up, but yeah, Norris, man, he had, they just moved Brady back up to that top line with him, and
Brady was getting all that. Like, speaking of Brady, he was getting a bunch of weird criticism, and then also a bunch of love from the Reddit community, right? He was specifically being like, hey, this guy looks like a fourth liner, and everyone's like, look at his elite periffs, man. Like, it's just, yeah, one of those scenarios, right? And Frank, I kind of feel like Josh Norris was possibly one of the guys that was giving him the production and giving him, like the additional supplementary non-periph production, but yeah, unfortunately.
And then next up, Drew Doughty of the LA Kings, finally nearing return. He skated in a non-contact jersey, full participant in practice today, and he is going to travel on the Kings' upcoming road trip. I would say if you already had, was it Brant Clark? Like, probably already go ahead and drop him. Like, what was he even doing for you anyway for long stretches?
I mean,
although I would say this is the time if you want to try to get Drew Doughty, like throw someone a trade, like because he hasn't played. No one knows what his value is.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to look at Doughty real quick, like I don't even know what his ownership was. Like, to my understanding, I don't think he was.
I think he's still stupid high.
Yeah, I think he's at what 57% ownership. Like, yeah. Oh, now the real question is though, have they updated him yet? Yeah, they have on Yahoo. Because normally what you can do is prior to any of the Yahoo News updates, you can try to like snag them. Once they pop in on the radar, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the other folks are gonna be hopping on that train quick. But the other critique reasonably was, is Doughty going to be used the way he has been prior? I mean, mind you, he's been doing this for like 20 years, right? 20. I don't know how long was it? Oh, when was he drafted? 06? Like something like that.
18 years and 17th ago,
Sure. And if you're looking at that standing, or I guess their placement in the standings, like they don't actually care if they finish second, third, or I don't think they'll be in a wild card spot. But even if they're in the wild card spot, who they face, like the Knights,
Edmonton,
or the Oilers.
They will always face Edmonton. It's tale as old as time,
right? And in that case, more than anything, don't they just need Doughty healthy? They don't actually need all the other jazz, right? So more than anything, they probably aren't going to roll Doughty into the ground. I don't think so. At least that's my take on it. I think they're preserving.
They can shelter his minutes, I think, a little bit.
Sheltering his minutes is great, for sure.
And then last up, something that happened tonight. Jacob Markstrom left tonight's game after a collision with Brazeau of the Boston Bruins. Geez, you know what? I kind of reverse jinxed it. Like New Jersey was in a little bit of a scoring slump lately, but I mean, they won like 5-1 tonight. I don't know, maybe not for this week because I think this is the second of their 2 games, but I don't know if Markstrom misses any significant time. Are we looking at Jake Allen there as a
Jake Allen
pickup?
stonks
Jake
all
Allen
the way
stunks
up.
up.
All the way up. Diamond hands to the moon. I mean, given especially that New Jersey's in a similar boat where are they chasing any standings at all? I don't think so, right? Like
I don't
they're
think
pretty
so.
comfortably in their 3rd spot in the Met. Like I don't think they'll be caught by anybody, right? And I mean, they might be able to catch, but they're not going to risk health just to get home ice advantage in a lineup against the Canes? Probably the Canes, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to. So anywho, I really think more than anything.
So Jake Allen, we think is a solid. I mean, he's demonstrated he can be good in stretches. So I'd say, yeah, I think what is it? They have Monday, Wednesday next week, and they're both games against Philly. So
he's also
yeah,
9% owned.
Yeah, if Markstrom misses
yeah,
a significant amount of time, sounds like we're on board the Jake Allen train. Now for some returns, Kirill Kaprizov, and Spurgeon looks like they're both back Thursday, so tomorrow night against Utah. Juracek was already sent back down. This is awesome. I think this is big boon for everyone, probably except what was it? Marco Rossi was on that first line left wing spot. And then next up, David Perron. Yeah. So this might be something nice if Norris is out any significant amount of time. Looks like he is also returning tomorrow versus Boston. He's been sidelined since November 23rd. At first it was sounded like back issues, and then there were some family issues. I don't want to get into it, but I don't know. The guy's a perennial 50-60 point player. Specializes in power play on mostly with Detroit and Seattle. Is this a guy maybe we watch list, Jay? Keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
See if they stick him on that top unit.
I was doubling a bit, and I was going to say Rossi probably more than anything has been playing with a dearth of talent like everywhere, right? Like when no offense to Rossi, man, this sounds terrible, but like if Rossi's looking around the ice and he's like, I'm the most talented guy there, like is that the best? Is that the best setup? Like, if anything, now if he's looking around and he's like, "There's Cap, there's Boldy," like, do we think if anything, Rossi stocks up? Like he's still.
I don't know. The practice line today was it Kaprizov, Boldy, Zook, yeah.
Oh,
Eriksson X, all right. At least he doesn't have to play with Mojo because he's still out.
I mean, at least I guess Rossi still gets power play 1 together with them. But Jeek. Oh. Definitely caps Rossi's upside. Oh, brutal. In terms of Perron, I mean, I don't even know if he's getting power play like 1 or 2 time Allen right now. Like I guess with Norris out there.
No, it's hard to tell because again, he hasn't played since around Thanksgiving. So it's one of those maybe you watch list, but he definitely has pedigree.
For sure.
Someone to keep an eye on.
Man, sometimes I look back and like this Ottawa Senators team, I cannot believe that they are where they are in the standings. Like you look at all those guys that are basically like should be's or like about twos, and man, like the names and lists go on, right? Like Stützle, Batherson, like Sanderson, like Pinto, right? Like all those guys you're expecting basically to have produced and continue to like just grow their game as like, I don't know, like mid-20s vets, and it doesn't happen. And then we're discussing Perron, like the perennial. I don't know how old he is, Alan, now, but like he's not ancient. But
I forget. Yeah, he's had a few seasons. So last return, I saw it in the chat. Someone was asking about it. Ricard Raquel is set to return tomorrow as well against Anaheim after stepping out on Monday for a family issue for a few days. But that is oh no, that's okay. Chat's just messing with us. I thought the JT Miller trade had happened. But with that, let's get to the mailbag.
You've got mail.
Mailbag.
All right, so first up, Swiss Cheese on Discord. It's a 12-team head-to-head Cats. Goals, assists, plus minus, power play points, pims, shots, hits, blocks. Which three would you have from this list of six? He's got Slavkovsky, Sherwood, Tippett, Dubois, Dorofeyev, and Lee. Jay, since mine are highlighted, I'll go over mine first. Looking at these guys, I think Slavkovsky, Sherwood, and Dorofeyev are probably the best three on that. Like, Slavkovsky, I know, has been off to a not so great start. I know his ownership dropped, but he the Habs in general, and he is picking up, especially now that he's back on that top line. Sherwood still banging a ton. The points have dried up, but he'll more than cover your hits category. And Dorofeyev, shot machine. Always a chance he could get bumped back up to power play 1. It looks like Olofsson's on there, but still goals. He's awesome. I don't know about
I'm just like,
you agree, disagree. Yeah, that's PT.
Yeah, that was like all the comments are incredible. PT, great to see you, man. Sorry, Alan, I
Yeah. So my three of that list were Slavkovsky, Sherwood, Dorofeyev. Do you agree? You changed one or two?
I mean, the thing is too, you chose the guys with the highest ceilings, I think.
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah, I would agree in terms of ceiling. I think Slavkovsky, Sherwood, and Dorofeyev are definitely the guys. I mean, Dorofeyev, like I've had him for his free skate games, and it ain't so pretty. But at the same time, like none of those guys listed are exempt from free skates either, right? Like Tippett, Dubois, Lee, like guys are out there for the extra ice time. Like I'm convinced. So I think you got it nailed on the bag. On the
and money. I mean, PLD's doing better this season, but it's still not like a great.
Still PLD.
He's not worth his contract. So now, Parataran, who tonight is more veneer. He's in the chat here. He gave us a laundry list. First up, I think these 10 team points league, shots, hits, blocks. Are we dropping Toffoli?
I did, but the main reason was just that I didn't have space on him on the IR plus, and he was just at that stage at that point. Okay. It's tougher when I'm wondering if he's nursing an injury. Normally, when their play dips to this degree, because I'm looking past his back games, and you're saying like, so he did get a fair bit of run, right? So that was what, a goal and 2 assists, a goal, like that's what 4 points in his last 2 games played. And then like 5 games of nothingness, and then he was out for like 3 nights. So I don't know if he's not even the driver on the line, right? The driver on his line,
Granlund? Sharks have shown that they're more than happy to shake those lines up on any given night.
Yeah.
But no, the biggest thing to me is his shot rate still solid, but he's only pacing for about 52 points. So I would say at this point, probably in a 10 team, he is a streamer on weeks that the Sharks have a good schedule, or someone you pick up when he's running hot.
He's also the guy that runs afoul, right? It's like where real hockey and fantasy hockey collide, because just like last season, he was taking all those good minutes away from Timo, right? Timo Meyer, Toffoli starts hot and everything. But then the same issue now with Celebrini is Celebrini wasn't even getting all those minutes to start. And then now once he rolls in, whose minutes and whose time and whose shots is Macklin Celebrini going to take? Probably Toffoli's. So yeah, it's going to toast that a luck out of there in terms of you owning him as a fantasy asset.
Oh, cool. And then next part here, any indication of a Brady Tkachuk injury? Can't find anything. His fall off is rough. So he's still hitting at a great clip. That hasn't changed. That's typically the biggest indicator of any kind of injury is they stop hitting. Shot rates are good. Biggest thing to me is he only has 1 goal on 31 shots dating back to January 7th, which is only it is a 3% shot rate. It sounds like he's just snake bitten right now.
And I mean, at the same time, the team's winning without it, right? So it's not as if whatever Ottawa's doing is not working. Maybe this is kind of just the next segue for a Brady Tkachuk. The issue is he's not the premier scoring talent on his team, and his team doesn't need him to, turn it back on, so to speak. I don't think I'm concerned. I think going forward, anyone that is getting Brady is just, he is what he is in terms of, like the periffs. And if he scores on top of it, he scores on top of it. But, what's his current,
couple more here real quick.
70 points.
Sorry.
He's never broken 7. He's never broken 70, I don't think, in a season.
Oh, Brady? That sounds right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
he's just 70, 80 point guy with like the hits and stuff.
I don't think 80. I think it's
no
frick, like Brady, Kachuk. Like literally, I think he's definitely broken 60, but it's like it's one of those where you're very surprised given how fantasy relevant he is, how little relevance his point scoring totals actually are. So let's see. Yeah, 60. Oh shit. Never mind. Okay, he's broken 80 once. He's gone the 83 mark. But like you're envisioning this guy almost like point per game monster all the way through, right? Like, nope, 74. That's his next highest.
But those riffs, that's what makes Brady Brady.
His riffs is what rolls him up. So it's kind of just a typical Brady setup. Obviously a bigger slump with him not scoring in the last 8 games, but frig man, look at those godly peripherals.
Yeah. So a couple more here real quick. So he's looking to send like draft picks, Timo and Joey Decord. He's wondering who he should target out of 2 of the 3 that I would target most. Ovi as a 3rd round keeper. So I guess you give up that 3rd round draft pick. Scheifele as an 8th rounder and Konechny as a 5th. I don't know. See, I almost wonder if it should be Scheifele and Konechny. Because Ovi, he had his down season last year. And this season so far, he's pacing exactly for where he's been all his career. But you never know if next season he's going to fall off or just doesn't come back. He breaks the Gretzky record and just, hey, I have to go back. I have to return to my home planet. My people need me.
That's the big one. I was going to say, imagine he finishes like with 15 goals over the remainder of the season. You want the Ovi 3rd round keeper. The dude is going to come out like firing everything.
Well, I mean, what if he, for this season, but what if he just hangs it up after this season?
Well, no, that's what I meant. Because you're doing this for the next season, right? I mean, I'm assuming. Oh, wait, no, it's Ovi for the remainder of this one, and he's trading a 3rd round keeper.
No. I think like if he kept Ovi, he gives up his 3rd round pick. A lot of keeper leagues do it that way. I don't know. I feel like Scheifele and Konechny might be safer bets or better value for where that pick is.
So the big one is PT doesn't believe in Timo, or he can't keep Timo.
Oh no, he's trading Timo, Joey Decord, and plus picks.
Right, but it is the reason you're trading Timo. Like PT, are you trading Timo because
I think he's moving on from Timo. He's tired of hockey terrorist Sheldon Keefe stifling Timo.
Gotcha. I mean, Konechny definitely stands out in that round, right? He almost like replaces Timo's production, but has, he doesn't
as
have
close to guaranteed deployment as you can on Philly.
Yeah, but I mean, like no hockey. Oh, okay. You believe so? PT says he believes in Timo, doesn't believe in Keefe. I mean, obviously, Scheifele in the 8th round is nuts in terms of value, but in terms of positioning, he doesn't replace the hole you lose from Timo.
No.
So maybe just a Konechny swap, like if that's the real setup, like giving a 5th round for
Konechny. 2 of the 3. So we can say Konechny plus Ovi or plus Scheifele.
The floor is definitely Scheifele and Konechny, right?
Yeah,
I think the floor is.
That's what I'm saying, and the value for those rounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ovi right now is disgusting, right? In terms of what he.
Yeah, right now it looks like as far as pace goes, Ovi he's back to where he has been most of his career.
Absolutely. So I mean, actually, hold on. What is Ovi right now? Like in terms of overall. Give me a second.
Yeah.
So Ovi is. Am I saying this right? Maybe it's my crazy league settings, but he's ranked at 100 and. Oh, but he got injured. Oh, he got injured. That's the big.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Pace.
So he's pacing for. Okay, so I I don't think Ovi is getting outperformed, right? Right now, Ovi is a
No.
Russian. Okay.
I mean, right now, I'd say Ovi is performing at that third round value, but to me,
For
the
sure. For
concern
sure.
is after this season, does he
Yeah.
hang it up or does he fall back to last season where it was like a 60-ish points on the season
I'd be very concerned if he broke the
at his
record.
age?
I will be very concerned if he broke the record because I don't think he gives a shit after he breaks Gretzky's
Although,
record. Like,
does he go for 1,000? Does he go for 1,000 goals?
oh, that's insane. That's like how many more seasons? 4 seasons?
I don't know.
That's crazy. I mean, Russian machine don't break, but yeah, that's still that's 1,000 goals would be insane.
So to answer his question, are we thinking?
I think the floor is you don't keep Ovi. I think the floor is you
Yeah,
go for the other guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then last one here, goalie keepers, Blackwood to give up a 20th round or Swayman as a 14th round. I feel like we've answered this question. I'm still hammering Blackwood all day.
20th round is insane value.
Yeah.
I think that's Blackwood for
for
sure.
Colorado, and they've locked him up with term now.
Yeah.
So it's a Colorado team. That core is staying together unless something crazy happens and Rantanen hits free market. Yeah, to me it's Blackwood. No brainer.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember their injury histories, Alan. Like Swayman would be like day to day every now and then. Like Blackwood obviously has been, kind of has.
I think Swayman's always had the tandem going for him. So this is his first season as a starter. But I think his biggest obstacle was just not having camp.
Yeah. I think the other one too, the issue
and
with
Blackwood,
Swayman,
he had like long COVID and stuff. Just Jersey wasn't working out.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then grab a couple from the chat here. This first one from Amal, 12 team points, no peripherals, rest of the season, Faber, OEL, Falk, or Riley.
So this basically means just point production.
Just points.
That's it.
Just points. For me, it's between Falk and Riley. But I think I want to go. I think I got to go Falk. Because Toronto seems pretty committed at this point to Matthew Nyes being a fifth forward on that power play.
And I mean, Falk was getting power play too for a while too, Alan, right?
Right. But I think he was injured. He came back. I think it's for me, it's Falk.
Yeah. OEL and Riley are in the same boat, right? Like in terms of the same issues. So it would go between Faber and Falk. And yeah, I don't like any of the options, truthfully, Alan. But I guess of the meat grinder, I guess I would prefer Falk.
Yeah. And I mean, I know he says rest of the season, but at least like for the next 2-3 weeks, barring anything crazy happening. Because I mean, tonight, Matthew Nyes left the game. Do they slot Riley back up on that power play? Which to me then makes Riley's
stock.
Falk.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, barring random circumstances with what we understand and know, I would probably stick with Falk.
Yeah. So that takes us to the weekend preview. So best schedules. If you're looking for those 3 games in 4 nights, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, you got 2 teams there. Utah. Just go check on Cooley, 54%. Nick Schmaltz is doing Nick Schmaltz things, but in this case, it means he's doing good things. He's got 8 points in his last 6. So yeah, and he's only 24% owned. I couldn't believe that. That probably started a lot higher and drifted down when he did the other Nick Schmaltz things. Only other guy I can think of that's of interest is like Ian Cole for Periffs. I don't know, Jay, if you can think of anyone.
McBain. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? 159 hits? Am I seeing this correctly? That's like, what, 3 hits a night? Wow. What the heck? Like,
there we go.
Anywho, McBain.
So there we go. For riffs, not for, I think he gets decent deployment.
McBain gets no power play time. Like,
no,
it's
God,
literally just like, what the hell?
That was the even strength.
Yeah, but like McBain definitely, if you need some riffs on that team, yeah, definitely worth a look. The real look is still if Veggie is getting all that run, right? Because Veggie right now is still only 31% ownership, and I think people understand that he's just going to alternate.
Sounds like it now.
Oh shit, no, Alan. Connor
No.
Ingram's 2 straight starts, 2 wins.
Oh snap! Wasn't one of them a
It,
shutout? I
ooh,
feel like I
it
saw that he
was.
shut someone out.
It was no, but it was
No.
2 goals given up in both tight games, and they beat the hot Blues and the Jets. So like these are what the
Maybe
hell is this Houston team,
that's what
man?
I was thinking. I was like, oh, Ingram, he's actually I think he got off to a rough start coming back, but yeah, I
For
saw
sure.
one of those two games. I'm like, oh god, like Utah beating those guys.
Yeah, and
Um,
the other one is 34% ownership for Ingram, right? So I think people have dropped him, not necessarily because he just isn't good, but just mainly because he's like, well, like
Veggie was getting most of the starts.
if people get injured. So
Yeah,
like you just run out of IR plus space on your roster and you clear him out because you don't know when he's
right.
back. But
And
now
yeah,
he is
especially with Ingram, they said at least once that like there's no timeline on him.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So
But then the other team, Vegas, has Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Uh, I think he's a Pavel. Dorofeyev, 30% owned, which seems like almost like an insult. He's 9 points in his last 5 games. His shooting rate is nuts, like well over 3 a game, which is what you want. I think he's on the line with Hurdle and Olofsson.
mm,
Barbashev, I couldn't believe he dropped under 50%, especially since coming back. But just go check on him. 46%, top line with Eichel and Stone. No
he's been
brainer.
having a rough go, Alan. Like I dropped Barbashev on certain points. Not to say for other managers that that means you shouldn't pick him up because schedule wise get him anyway. But
Yeah.
oh man, I think the worst was when they put him down to like 13 minutes against
Oof.
Carolina. I was like, geez, what is going on there? But hopefully he turns it around. The big one too is he was losing even on a power play 2. I think it was like
Yeah,
freaking
I don't think he was ever power play one.
right, but like Brett Howden was getting time over him on power play 2, and you're like, what is
Oh
going
god,
on? Like
yeah.
he like must have been thrown in the
I wonder
doghouse
if they were
somewhere.
trying to ease him back in because he was injured for a week or
Well,
two.
the injury now is to Howden. So I mean, I'm not wishing for anyone's injury, but if you're wishing for now the renaissance of Barbashev, like Lord goodness, please score on the power play 2 now and like cement your place back there.
And then last guy I had Victor Olofsson, again on the line with Dorofeyev and Hurdle, 8% owned. He is back on power play one. I don't know if that's a guy that deployment isn't concrete. That they
Yeah,
could kind of alternate between him and Dorofeyev if they need to get something going. But I would say the top priority stream is Dorofeyev for points at least.
for sure. Another guy I would say for options for riffs too would be maybe Keegan Kolesar.
Yeah,
They seem to throw him on for a lot of, I guess, well, like
probably shutdown minutes. Yeah,
yeah, they don't really throw him on for like random other minutes though, like any blowout games or any. Anywho, so I would say if you need riffs, like he's at what, like 150, sorry, just over 140 hits.
and
He
a
doesn't
lot
get
of
a
their
lot of ice
defense
time.
is good for riffs. I
Yes,
feel like.
yes. So what? Well, Petrangelo and Hannafin are very owned up. Braden McNabb, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah, Braden
I think he's a
McNabb,
blocks
100
maybe hits guy.
blocks. Yeah, he got some hits in there. White Cloud? What the heck?
Yeah,
Oh, White
Zach
Cloud is
Whitecloud.
yeah,
He's
let's
one of
look
those
at
guys who spends a lot of time in the infirmary. But when he plays, like amazing riffs.
just amazing. Yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, I guess the main one for Vegas, if you're looking, is those guys. I'm just trying to check too. I was like, their goalies, Samsonov, right?
Isn't he still highly owned? But I feel like he's
Oh,
had a
he is.
couple
Never
bad
mind.
games.
53%. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's pretty highly owned
I think
relatively.
it's the name.
Yeah, yeah. It's all the Leafs fans that follow
Yeah,
him.
that's exactly what it is. Or the people who thought he was going to be starter and then just like stopped
And
playing
didn't
after
realize that
week
Aiden
one.
Hill was the
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
But yeah, the Friday Sunday teams, Chicago. Just go check on Seth Jones. 51% owned.
Oh,
He's a
snap.
lock on power play one, and he still gets a decent amount of points, category coverage.
And
I know
Vlasic
he was
as
injured.
well,
I feel
right?
like that was Vlasic. No,
Vlasic as well, right?
I think he was getting it while Jones was out. But I'm pretty sure right away they went back to Jones on power play one.
Oh, I stand corrected. He's not even Vlasic not only gets not power play 1, he's not even on power play 2. That's
Yeah.
it. That's to Alec Martinez. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Don't.
But no, definitely a name to look out for if Seth Jones goes out. Then
For
Tyler
sure.
Bertuzzi, 11%. He's got 5 points in his last 3. Seems like he's stapled on that top line, top power play with Connor Bedard. And anyone who gets that access is someone you want if you're desperate enough to grab Chicago players. Teuvo Teravainen, 17% owned. He's got power play 1. I can't think of anyone really for riffs. I was thinking of Connor Murphy, but he's out right now.
Foligno gets
Oh yeah, Nick Foligno.
a lot of hits. Ryan Donato surprisingly scores at a relatively decent Chicago specific pace.
It's good for Chicago.
It's good for Chicago. Man, I need to retailer some of the ways I phrase these things. Taylor Hall, Alan, how do we?
Nope.
I don't.
Do not touch.
Maybe
Do not touch.
Maybe
like
not. 2 points in the last 2 games.
He's been scratched. He has been demoted, moved all over the lineup. Like he's in trade rumors. I don't even know if anyone would want him.
Yeah.
And then before we move on to Winnipeg here, interesting question from Maman here. Is Grzelcyk or Hampus Lindholm worth a shot? Well, I think Hampus Lindholm is still injured. But once he comes back, if McAvoy's still out, I could see Hampus Lindholm getting a shot at that top unit in Boston.
Because right now it's low rise still, right?
Yeah.
Low rise.
And he's been doing all right. So Hampus Lindholm may even not get a shot.
Yeah.
But Grzelcyk, I feel like is
shot.
Purely a schedule play.
Yeah. I was like, speaking of not getting a shot, that Mason Lohrei did get a shot tonight in the 5-1 loss against.
No, Devils trounced him. They probably didn't like that Markstrom went down.
No, probably not.
But I could see Hampus Lindholm being the more likely one when he returns.
Grzelcyk, though?
Grzelcyk, he's on off that power play unit. So it's more like under very specific circumstances. Like if Pittsburgh has a good schedule, if they have Grzelcyk on that top unit, because I feel like I picked up Grzelcyk a week or 2 ago because Pittsburgh had a good schedule. And of course, that was when they chose to bump him off that top unit. So it was a waste of my time.
And it's weird, right? Like they're back to running that 3-2 power play, it looks like.
Yeah.
So if Grzelcyk stays there, I mean, they do spread their scoring with Karlsson, like quarterbacking power play too. Maybe this is the long-term better setup. I'm torn on one main thing, which is Hampus Lindholm was still like a maybe, whereas Grzelcyk is a currently, right? So in that case,
is he might have been on power play 1, but with Raquel coming back tomorrow, that could change.
Oh yeah, shit.
So you just have to wait and see how things shake out.
He's going to be the guy moved. Well, I mean, but Bunting is the other guy that might not retain his.
He's kind of hot right now. I think he might stay.
I mean, Bunting is not. Well, he's got one assist in the past 5 games. But
Bunting,
again, I have to check if his assist is a power play assist, which frig, if it is, that doesn't bode well for Grzelcyk staying on either. But yeah, I would definitely push for of the two, if it's Hampus Lindholm or Grzelcyk, with Hampus Lindholm out right now, that's easy Grzelcyk.
Yeah.
So,
but I would say they're both worth looks under the right circumstances. Sure. But yeah, moving on. So Winnipeg, back to the Friday, Sunday guys. Just go check on Gabe Vilardi. 69% is nice, but I feel like he should be owned a little bit higher than that. Nino Niederreiter, 31% owned. Perfect model for a streamer. Vladislav Nemestikov back centering line 2 with Ehlers and Vilardi. And then someone in the chat pointed it out at the beginning of the show. Iafallo is skating on line 1. There we go. I'm on. Iafallo is skating on, or at least at practice, morning skate was on the top line with Scheifele and Connor.
Iafallo, eh? My goodness. I mean, he's a fantasy unicorn, right? So you shouldn't worry. If anything, if this is just about schedule maximization, then he's a schedule maximizing, I guess, ideal rosterable. Yeah, and I guess to Amon's question there, I think Alan and I agreed that it was Grizzly. Both are worth a shot,
Or
so to speak, but Grizzly's the guy for right now.
yeah, since I think Lindholm is still out.
Lindholm's still out, yeah.
So goalie streams for those back-to-backs. Friday, Saturday, you got Dallas versus Vegas at St. Louis. Kate would, Casey DeSmith, as I'm sure is out there. New York Islanders versus Philly versus Carolina. Hogberg's their backup, and Tampa is at Chicago at Detroit. So JoJo probably gets that. Yeah, JoJo probably gets that Chicago game. And then they play Vazzy against Detroit, which is the more meaningful game in terms of the standings. I'm not sure there's a real clear-cut winner there.
Or do you think they'd invert it? Because
so earlier this week, freaking Tampa got me because I'm like, oh yeah, surely they will play Vazzy against Toronto and JoJo against Montreal. But no, they did not. They played JoJo against Toronto, Vazzy against Montreal, and then someone in the Tampa subreddit pointed it out that like Montreal is the more meaningful game in terms of standings because we're not trying to catch Toronto.
Right.
We're just trying to like
keep
our
Montreal
place and like push the guys down. So,
but the question is, how did that game turn out then? I was like, did they end
neither? We lost both. It was bullshit. But no,
I thought you would try to secure the points against Chicago and then against Detroit. It's kind of like,
that's
probably still beat Detroit anyway, but man,
hopefully,
sorry for any Red Wings fans out there, but like
we beat them down Saturday. But if there is a winner here, I think it's JoJo if he gets the Chicago game.
Right.
Because I just don't like St. Louis running hot right now. New coach bump. Vegas is a beast. I don't like the Islanders at all. Like their goalies might be great, but they have no goal support. So yeah, give me JoJo against Chicago. So Saturday, Sunday, you have Calgary at Minnesota at Winnipeg. So I think Vladar is somewhat available. Colorado at Boston at New York Rangers. So Scott Wedgwood's out there. Florida at San Jose at Vegas. Spencer Knight would be the backup there. Minnesota versus Calgary at Chicago. Ottawa versus Toronto versus Utah. Maryland is still only 30% owned, and Forsberg I'm not real excited for.
Maryland, my goodness, that's a hot start. You know what I mean? Like that is.
If I take one of the Utah ones, it's give me who plays Utah. I mean, and I think we had this discussion last week. Like those, Toronto, Ottawa, Boston, Montreal, like all those guys like show up against each other. So I feel like I was just got to stay away. I just stay away from those in terms of goalies. I don't know, maybe Fleury against Chicago, especially with Kaprizov back.
I would say of all those names that stand out, like I'm assuming Florida. Yeah.
Spencer Knight against San Jose.
I'm trying to pick the winner. You know what I mean? I'm trying to like almost pick wins, and like this is where frick, like it just feels like gambling. You know what I mean? Like any team can beat any other team on the day. But maybe if I'm looking, Marc-Andre Fleury is the winnable, like most winnable setup. Like
like I said, especially with Kaprizov back, man, like he's gonna get goal support.
For sure. Yeah. And Chicago is quite dotty down.
Especially because they'll be on the back half of back-to-back.
Alan, you got to remind me on this one too. I'm like, who? You know how like last year was the Celebrini sweepstakes. Who's the sweepstakes this year?
Shoot, it sounds like it's fluctuated. Who the first overall is going to be this year? I can't tell you who it is right now off the top of my head. I think they just put out the pre-draft rankings.
Because at a certain point, like we're at 40, almost 50 games in the season. Like at a certain point, it becomes a race the other way, right? And, like, and then you're really looking like who the hell is playing, and it looks like the front runners right now would be Chicago and San Jose, right? Like those guys are looking at any point to like miraculously have a guy on, Robidas Island just
Hey man,
hanging out.
don't you count Nashville out. Don't you count Nashville out.
Can you imagine them LTIRing like all their studs just to acquire the guy?
No,
Oh,
I wouldn't be
man.
surprised if Nashville moves out one of those guys they signed in the offseason.
Holy shit, Alan. I laughed with you, but I didn't realize they are actually competitive? No. They
Who,
actually could be
Nashville?
super competitive for the for that last spot. Do
Oh,
they even
Nashville?
yeah, Nashville. Do they
Oh God,
even
yeah.
own Oh god. Do they own that pick? Please tell me they own their 2025
Ooh, that's a
first
good point.
rounder. That would be so gutting.
Yeah, hopefully they top 10 protected it.
Please tell me they top 10 protected that. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if they own their
one,
pick or not.
actually. That is really
That is a problem for future NHL. But
sure.
last up, best schedules, kind of looking into next week. Vancouver, 4 games, 3 off nights, and the worst schedule. There are a couple teams with 2 games, 1 off night, but Ottawa has 2 games with 0 off nights. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap it for tonight. Just in case if we did not get to your questions in the chat, remember you can always DM us on Twitter or pop by the Discord, even tag us using @FHFH. We'll be back this weekend with Sit Start Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then your Weekend 17 preview. Good night. Good mental health, everyone.
Yeah. Good chatting with you. We'll pick you up later.